The Youth Council requested for a deputation because we are worried. We worry about how the plans to abruptly transform the youth service will affect the Council's promise to fully support the Youth Council. We worry about the lack of collaborative working between the Council, Head of Youth Services and young people during the process of creating this new plan. And we worry that during the recreation process, that the youth will be the least priority. On the 22nd of November, and on other various occasions, the Haringey Council publicly announced that their full support to the Youth Council was guaranteed. And we interpreted this full support to mean having a youth worker to ensure that the existence and the progress of the Youth Council and other youth projects was properly managed. However, the new proposal denies young people the support to get their views across. The proposal does state that the new working body of the youth service will be that in the new body of the youth service there will be one youth involvement officer. But what does this mean? Without a job description, the future of the Youth Council is put at a halt because we are unsure whether this new youth involvement officer will be responsible for us. We also interpreted full support as having the guidance and assistance from youth officers who work for extension groups of the Youth Council. However, the new plans propose to delete all of these roles. The Youth Council has always benefited greatly by the extra hours and dedication put in by these key support workers. But how will we be successful without them? We have always appreciated the Council's promise to fully support us. But as it stands, the only direct form of support we have experienced has been in the form of a verbal declaration in public or by visits from councillors to our meetings. And in the past 5 years, no substantial budgets for the Youth Council have been provided. And now what we thought was a guarantee to be fully supported by the Council in the future is merely a blur. We believe that full support should be exactly what it says in the tin, without the extra small print. The Haringey Council were aware of the financial situation in April 2010. In fact, we all were. And it must have been noticeable, with all the cuts and the fast targets that the government was firing down, that youth service would get a little bit burnt. But in spite of this, the issue of cuts to youth services only came to light to young people 8 months later, in December. The first attempt to properly inform young people about what changes were being made was held at the end of January this year, and this was far too late. As a successful champion of young people across Haringey for 5 years and the agreed voice of young people, the Haringey Youth Council is central to all participation groups. If we were not clearly presented with the new plans, how is it even suggestible that a wide scope of young people are being involved in this decision-making process of their own service? Without clear communication, it is very difficult for young people to even try and get involved. And the vagueness of this new proposal that we have seen presents a lot of danger. The Youth Council has met 3 times with Belinda Evans, Head of Youth Services, and once with Councillor Gold Gilbert. During these meetings, we've had discussions about the future of the youth service. We've discussed the clarity, or the lack of it, that was in the current proposal, but yet we still await many answers. The word consultation did get thrown around a bit, and the Youth Council would like to make it clear that till this day we have not been consulted, neither have we been offered a consultation with anyone regarding the new plans of the youth service. And we understand that the idea of a consultation is to be some sort of presentation where 2 groups meet. Group A, i.e. the councillors or the heads of youth services, present an idea to Group B, young people, and Group B offers suggestions and amendments. Young people do not want this. We do not want to be bombarded with ideas and then suggest amendments which will not even be taken into consideration. We want to be heavily involved in the idea-creating process and the decision-making process. We want to be at the first stage of everything and not the last. Our worries about what full support really means for us during these harsh times, and about the inadequate level of communication with young people from the youth service and beyond, is hard for us to cope with, because we need to plan projects, we need to plan our events, we need to plan what we're going to do this year. But we'd really like some answers. Young people are very vulnerable. Being vulnerable does not make us naive. We fully appreciate that the insensitive cuts steered through by this government means that cuts to services will have to be found somewhere. But this does not mean that integrity for the most vulnerable groups need to be lost. Services should be shaped by the people that know it best, and these people are the youth workers and the young people. If there aren't enough hats to go around, you don't just start cutting heads off. It is important that these rash decisions are not made, because they will have devastating consequences. And as Councillor Koba mentioned earlier, the government is putting young people at a very fragile position by reducing our support services.
Sorry, you need to wind up, please.
Okay, sorry about that. And it is absolutely vital that if the government is going to care for us, that local authorities should and put us as priority. Closing remarks is HYC fully represents young people, and we want to work with you. We want to be your allies, and we want to work with you to ensure that the new changes affect everyone in the most efficient way possible. Thank you for your time.
Right.